So what happens after a truly massive, world-altering conflict? Well, it's not just about picking up the pieces. Today, we're diving into something called the Rule of Sevens. And trust me, this is way more than just a cleanup plan. It's this incredibly detailed, almost ritualistic blueprint for taking a land that's been spiritually, well, defiled, and bringing it back to a state of pure peace.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. We're not talking about just clearing away rubble or debris. The core idea here is that the land itself has been spiritually contaminated, it's been defiled. So the Rule of Sevens isn't just a physical process, it's the prescribed cure for this really deep spiritual sickness. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the chaos and the consequences. Then we'll walk through the three main phases, 7 years, 7 months, and then this state of perpetual vigilance. And we'll wrap up by looking at what this whole thing was really all about. You'll see our journey is going to follow the very steps of the rule itself.
Okay, let's set the stage. Chaos and consequence. From conflict to restoration. To really get this, you have to picture the scene. A massive battle, this banquet of judgment, has just ended. An invading army, the Northern Gale, has been defeated. But what's left behind isn't just a battlefield. It's a landscape that's been profoundly, spiritually tainted. And that is the central problem. It's not just a mess that needs to be tidied up. You got to think of it more like a spiritual contamination zone. Every weapon, every fallen soldier, it's all seen as a physical manifestation, a lingering stain of human pride. And that stain has to be wiped clean, systematically, and without a single trace left behind.
So what's the solution? The Rule of Sevens. And this isn't just a loose set of guidelines. It is a meticulously structured framework. It's got two main goals. Yeah, one is to physically clean everything up, but the bigger, deeper goal, it's to prove a point, to show that even the most massive, chaotic rebellion can be completely and utterly processed into nothingness by a disciplined, higher order.
All right, Phase 1, transforming the tools of war. The fighting's done. Now, the long, hard work of restoration begins. And what's the very first thing they deal with? All the weapons the invaders left behind.
So, this first phase is all about the number 7, specifically 7 years. Why? Because that's how long the fuel will last. And what's the fuel? It's the staggering amount of military hardware just left lying all over the place. For 7 years, this is going to be their new, totally unexpected energy source.
And this is where we see this incredible idea of sacrificial irony in action. I mean, think about it. The invaders brought all this stuff to destroy and plunder, right? It was their evil scheme. But now, those very instruments of death are being repurposed to create warmth and sustain life. The spears and shields are literally heating the homes they were meant to tear down. It's a total reversal.
And you can see the breakdown here. We're talking shields, bucklers, bows, arrows, spears, you name it. All the wooden parts of the war machine are gathered up. And the benefit? It's huge. This stuff becomes the primary fuel source, enough for 7 entire years. That means no trees need to be cut down, the forests are preserved. The dust of fallen pride, as it's called, is literally fueling the nation's survival.
Okay, so, Phase 2, cleansing the landscape. The weapons have been dealt with, burned away for a useful purpose. But now, the community has to turn to something much, much harder, dealing with the bodies of the fallen invaders.
And yep, here's that number 7 again. This time it's 7 months, and that time frame is super important. It's not just a random deadline. The number 7 signifies completion, perfection. So 7 months is the theological stamp saying this act of cleansing will be ritually perfect and complete.
And you have to understand the sheer urgency of this. The text says the bodies covered the land like a cloud. I mean, can you imagine? It was a practical nightmare. It was literally blocking roads, stopping travel, bringing everyday life to a standstill. This wasn't just a cleanup job. It was a nationwide emergency.
So how did they tackle it? Well, it was a 4-step process. First, everyone was involved. It was a shared communal responsibility. Second, they didn't just bury the remains anywhere. They were all taken to one specific isolated location, the Valley of Hamon-Gog. Third, the land gets meticulously cleared by its own inhabitants. And finally, after those 7 months are up, you get ritual closure. The job is done. The land is considered pure again.
So you'd think after 7 months of that intense work, they'd be done, right? Nope,
not even close. This brings us to Phase 3, perpetual vigilance. And this is where things get really, really detailed. We're shifting from this massive group effort to a highly specialized, never-ending task.
This is when the professional searchers come in. And these aren't just regular folks pitching in. These are specialists. This is their full-time job, their only job, to maintain what's called absolute sanctity. Their mission is to make sure not one single piece of the rebellion is left.
And their method is just a masterclass in organization. The searchers are constantly walking the land, just scanning, scanning, scanning. If one of them spots even the tiniest bone fragment, they don't touch it. They just put up a marker. That marker is a signal for a totally different team, the barriers, to come, collect the fragment, and dispose of it properly. It's this incredible efficient system with very distinct roles.
Okay, so let's pull back and look at the big picture. 7 years burning weapons, 7 months of mass burials, an ongoing perpetual search. After all of that, what was the point? What was this all for? This is where we get to the ultimate purpose.
Here's the key takeaway. The Rule of Sevens was never just about cleaning up. It's a theological mic drop. It's a statement. By taking the ultimate symbols of chaos and pride, weapons and corpses, and methodically processing them into something orderly, like fuel and a managed burial site, it's a powerful demonstration. It proves that even the biggest, most arrogant human rebellion is nothing in the face of perfect, divine order.
And that is the final goal. The whole point of this long, exhausting process is to bring everyone, both the inhabitants and any outsiders watching, to this one single, unavoidable conclusion. The restoration isn't really about having clean soil. It's about having a crystal clear understanding of who's ultimately in charge.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? The Rule of Sevens seems to say that real, total restoration, it's so much more than just rebuilding walls or planting new fields. It demands this intense, meticulous order. It requires everyone to participate. It needs constant vigilance, and maybe most importantly, it requires a complete transformation of the very symbols of the conflict itself. So it makes you think, what does it really, truly take to turn chaos into something sacred again?